Okay, Sandrina, Guy, thank you for putting together those cards. And we've identified some cards for each of you. So what we're going to do now is look at the most important one for each one of you, if that's okay. And I want to
Yeah.
try, if I can, to get a little bit of a better understanding of why those cards are important to you, if that's okay. So, Sandrina, if I go to you first, if I may. So you picked the most prominent card there was spending without guilt. So, firstly, the first question is, can you give me an idea of why that card was number one for you?
Ah, because any money if I go to spend, okay, I know Guy is working very hard just to support the family, you know, and for me, it's a very important that money is coming to the house. Because I don't work at the moment, all the time when I buy something for me, even Guy is very generous with us as a family.
Sure.
He's look after all of us, and he always nice and just to give everything to us. But all the time when I go to buy something, I feel guilty because in the moment I buy, I just want that thing I really want. But then when the money is going, I'm always feel guilty because that money is the future of my kid,
Mm-hmm.
and is the future of Guy. My dream will be just to see Guy um, just free of stress
Yep.
and doesn't have to work very hard just to protect the family all the time.
Sure.
If I don't go to spend much money, so that will be better cushion for the family, just to have a more money and better, less worry
Yep.
to work if we in the future is coming, we don't have the money to pay bill or we don't have money to pay the thing. And plus, um, it's nice just to think we we have that cushion. I'm supposed it's like that, it's just for me. And because I don't have my job, probably it's like I feel like guilty to spend
No,
money.
that's okay. So is it all things you spend on, or is it certain things that you can you
More
get
like
guilty?
several things, not all the time, it's just more like a food and thing for the house, like it's necessary and we have to. That I don't feel guilty because it's a normal life.
Sure.
Everyone go through that the same.
Sure.
When you want to do a little things as extra, like I don't know, buy silly things like for the house or clothes or shoes or anything like really we don't need, and we spend the money for more material stuff. I think.
So it's really the difference between need and want.
Yes,
Would that be fair? Yeah. Now,
yes.
do you guys discuss? Yeah, obviously the stuff you need is one thing, but when you want something, do you discuss it together, or do you generally just make a decision each of you and then do your own thing?
Sometimes we do together, but normally more compulsive. You say that one?
Yeah, compulsive.
Compulsive, and sometimes I'm at I'm at the mom. What I would like to give anything to my girls, If they ask me, oh, mommy, can I have, I don't know,
Yeah.
something I know they don't need, I will buy the thing just to make them happy.
Okay.
And that is not right. Sometimes it's wrong because I don't teach them, the value of the money of this.
So I suppose that what we're trying to solve here is how do you feel less guilty about spending what you need to spend or want to spend? Is that what you're trying to work out? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So if you could, if some way we could design a system or a process whereby you can do that, you have a framework, if you like, to be able to spend without some guilt. Is that something that would generally be helpful?
Yeah, it will be.
Okay. Well, I think that's doable. It's just about just building that framework around what's a need and potentially what's a want. Is there, I mean, I suppose you both have probably different compulsions from a want point of view in terms of what you spend. So I imagine, sometimes it might be based on what you spend on the girls. It might be some things for the house. Guy, you might have different things you spend money on as well. If we could build that framework around that, would that be something that would be helpful?
Yes, it will.
So what we can look at is building some sort of framework whereby you can both have what you want within a framework, and then you won't feel necessarily so guilty about what you spend. So it's just more regimented.
Yes.
That'd be helpful?
Yeah, that will be helpful for me. Yes.
Okay. So just going on from that, Guy, let's just touch on yours, because obviously spending without all these cards tend to be interlinked a little bit. And obviously you've picked that major card for you, which is making work optional. Now, interestingly, optional is an interesting word. What does optional mean to you?
For me, it's just I don't not want to work, to be honest.
Yeah.
But it's more generally as an employee, your money is tied to your time, right? So
yep.
I think it's the freedom is the issue long term. I don't want to just sit and knock a golf ball or just sit in a coffee shop. I do want to do something, but it's more being able to sort of pick and choose and say, okay, let's go and do this, and maybe work less, but I'm going to want to be doing something, but it's getting to a situation where I don't have to.
Sure. In an ideal world, what does it look like on a weekly basis?
Maybe, I'd still like to have, and even now I have my projects outside my work.
Sure.
But on an ideal basis, I would have probably a sort of solid amount of savings being put into things like EDFs or something like that. That'd be in my mind what I'm thinking at the moment. And then, not living in a place which was too expensive for us, and maybe working, 2 or 3 days a week, that sort of thing. Or if I wanted to do more. But I mean, if I wanted to go away for a couple of weeks, or we wanted to do something, to be able to go on the road and still do stuff.
And if you had to pick a timeline between, let's assume you're going to carry on working in some form, because it sounds like that's something you enjoy, which is fantastic. So if you have to pick a timeline between now and when you can make that choice, because it sounds like it's about a choice to work for you rather than feeling like you have to work.
Yeah. And I mean, at the moment I have to, with the kids at the, the stage we're at, and but I haven't, but when that's going to happen, I don't know. I'd say, I mean, really, we're trying to put a plan in place now of how we can be smarter with our money. So, and we're trying to learn that as a group, including children, and do it for them as well. They get the benefit of time ahead of them, learning earlier. But we never learned that, right? We learned to work and be an employee, and not that we're trapped, but it is a sort of a bit of a trap, right?
Yeah.
We're sort of put in that situation now, living in an expensive city like Sydney. But I think we're working, I don't know, have exact parameters, but over the next 5 to 10 years, I'm not planning on working less, but I would like to be moving along a smart track to having stuff, money doing smarter things for me than what it's doing currently.
And would be tracking that progress important to you?
Yeah, for sure, yeah.
And so you want to see some sort of, so it's important sometimes just to work out, what does that week look like? You're spending maybe 2 or 3 days a week working. How much time are your other projects going to take up? So what are your other projects?
Yeah, I mean, other projects. So, for example, I do something, and I've always got some project going on, Sandra. I've got a long list of odd things done, and some of them came from when we were starting here, and we weren't resident, and it was expensive. Different things. You're paying for kids to go to primary school, and you're paying all these different things, and none of them really eventuated to much, to be honest. But I was always working full time. So, I mean, they're quite laughable. Some of them are quite fun now to look back on. But the most recent what I've done is I started a website. I've sort of figured out how to create this website. And then I've started a website which tells the stories of business founders in Australia. And it's projects like that I enjoy, because I meet a lot of different people. But at some point, I also want to, those things I want to monetize at some point. So, I'd like to have, and I love that stuff. That's, I love my job at the moment, but I love that stuff. So I want to be able to have more than one income. Yep.
Totally understand. So if we were 12 months down the line, how do you feel, if you were progressing down this pathway, what do you feel you would have to have done over the last 12 months to move forward in that regard? Is it just wealth, or is it other things?
I think for us probably is the, you know, I'm trying to get that sort of foundation of understanding and give us how we can go on to the next stage. I never wanted to just give any savings or anything to a sort of, you know, a stockbroker and, you know, go and do this. I wanted to understand it. It's something I don't know that world. You know, we've always just done property. So really, yeah, it's to have a plan. Otherwise I'll never stop the full-time work, really.
Yep, makes perfect sense. So just to recap on that, just so we're clear, just so if we can get some form of framework together for the spending without guilt, and that can link into some sort of plan we can move forward over the next 12 months, but really some emphasis on showing progress as we move forward, as well as providing a bit of an educational content to your understanding of your wealth as we move forward. Would that be something that you'd be relatively comfortable with?
Yep, I would.
Yes.
Okay. So I think from there, that's something that we can absolutely look, and we can put some key goals around those, and we can look to track them, not only over the next 12 months, but obviously over the more medium term as well. That's great. Okay, we can certainly work towards that. I might hand over to James now to do the next one.
Okay, great job, James. Okay, Sandria, help others live a more purposeful life. I love that card, and it can mean so many different things to different people. So why did you actually pick that particular card?
Can you, 1 minute, I need to ask a question. So 1 minute, sorry. Sorry, because sometimes English is difficult for me, you know.
Yeah.
I choose that card because I have so many people who will like to live the life completely different, you know, and sometimes they don't have the choice. They have to continue to do what they do because they don't see the light of the tunnel. They feel a trap.
You mean the family? Is that what you mean?
No, in friend,
okay.
friend, when my friend, like we're talking about, you know, like girls and all the same more. And I will love to, for me, I would like to see people I know everyone we can do better, but we feel scared. Scared, you say that?
Scared, yeah.
We're scared to do, you know. So, and for me, it does make me happy. We're very happy when other people, they do right. You know, they do the right financial and family and anything that does. It's good for me. So, sorry, I don't have the word.
Is it your family as well? Part of it? You want to be able to, you know, as in see them?
Yeah, and that was probably my other question is, when we talk about help others, who are the other people that are important to you in your life that you want to be able to help?
I would like to first, and my family, okay, my family for Argentina, you know, my family from Argentina, my family here, my daughter, that was my priority. And then I have a lot of friends who I would like to help as well, you know, so and for example, when I'm read news or something like that, and even stranger people and they do good, I feel happy for them, you know. I think that made me how do they say, just a smile, just feel inside as a good feeling, just inside of me, just to see any human being, any person, as they do the right thing, what they want to do, you know.
Yeah, and when we talk about people living a more purposeful life, what does purposeful mean to you?
Well, in your mind, what do you think it means? It's not a right or wrong answer.
I mean, they do the right thing.
Yeah, I mean, it could be improving, could be, Well,
like the people, they do the right thing. The people like do what is more.
So, for example, your family in Argentina, what do you want to see them get better, improve, learn more?
For example, my family in Argentina, I have a lot of my niece. I try to teach them in my own thinking, you know, how they can do better life. For example, because I didn't have that scene in my life, I say, okay, you have to have your license first. You have to study. You have to have a job. You have to do so many things right to you feel comfortable inside, like you feel happy, you know, then when they did these things, they absolutely made me absolutely happy when they say, Auntie, I did pass my driving license. Auntie, I did pass my hairdresser. You know, they do hairdresser, they do different stuff where nobody teach them to they go to do that thing, because that will be the help in the future for them. You know, so there's a lot of things.
And probably for context as well, Sandrita's family in Argentina is very poor. You know, I don't think Sandrita would mind me saying that. So it's more, you know, Sandrita loves to, because a lot of them don't finish school and a lot of them have kids young. So Sandrita really is the only one who's ever left that family or left the country or left the state. And she loves to see them, I guess, improve. Improve even in small bits, but try and improve their life. You know?
Yeah. When we go through these discussions, it's really important, because the person who you are today is probably the values that you've actually learned from your parents and your grandparents as well. And again, coming from where you've been to the life you have now, obviously you're grateful with where you are, and you just want to be able to pass that off. So if we looked at for the next 12 months, is there anything that you can turn around and say, okay, looking back over the last 12 months, these are things I've been able to do to be able to help others live a more purposeful life?
Yes, I mean, I would like to help people. So a lot of people, you know, we have a very difficult time on all this, the COVID and all this very, very strain at the moment, all, you know, the global things. And I would love to go and help this. I don't know if it was you or the other guy who say, we are choice to do what we want to do. Yes. Yeah. That is sometimes as a human being, we choose stuff to do on the beginning or later, but it's nice just to help people.
But what in the next 12 months, what do you want to do you think?
And the next, I would love to the next 12 months learning more about financial things. I would like to do that thing. Yeah. I would love to learn it, because I think it's a click in my hair, like what I have to do, you know, and probably because.
But to help others, what do you want to do?
And to help others, I would like to say how they can live life without stress.
Yeah.
You know? How they can live life to more happiness. How they can live life with more laughing and don't be worried all the time, and how they can just try to clear the mind, you say that? Just to be more happy. I think that's my only thing I can think, you know.
Yeah. So in the near future, would you like to go back to Argentina and actually see the family, and that's one part of your living that purposeful life, or to be able to make sure that you can help others live a more purposeful life? Would you like to go back to Argentina and see your family?
Yes, I will. Yes, it's something I'd like to do. That's in to go, and I like to help. I'm always my family is first, and then any people I can help around, I will do. Yes, I like to do that thing.
Yeah. How about from a time frame perspective? If you said, okay, I'd love to be able to go back to Argentina in the next period of time, what would that be?
I would love to go to Argentina in 2023.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes.
That's great. And how much time would you actually spend there over there? Would you like to stay there for just a just a little holiday, or would you like to be able to spend there a little bit more longer time, 3 months or 6 months?
For me, it's all depend on my family here. I would like to spend 3 months, but always I feel like I have to be here for my girls and guy.
Yeah.
So all the time is depend of the situation. But if I can stay 2 months or 3 months, yes, I will. But it's all depend of my family here.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. Thank you very much for sharing that. That was great. I love hearing about how people can live that more purposeful life.
And I'm very sorry. Sometimes it's very difficult for me if I don't have a straight answer like you asked me before. Sometimes I feel so confused with English. I'm sorry for that.
No, there was no problem at all. And for you, Guy, educate loved ones. Why did you pick that card?
Well, I think in part I'm trying to educate myself and educate me and Sandrita to learn together. And we also, so the big education at the moment, very specifically, is on how to, I guess, investing and how to be smarter with our funds, right? So that's something I've sort of taken on and talked to someone who's in that area. I asked, and I've started reading books and trying to figure an area out. It was a bit of a black hole for me. It turns out it's not quite as scary. I guess the way the press tells us about investing rather than property is always possibly more scary, or seems more scary when you don't know much about it. So at the moment I'm studying that with a view to sort of start doing something soon, or at least start dipping our toes in the water. But I want Sandrita as well to sort of, I don't want it just to be me to try and figure something out, and I want it to be as if I wasn't here as well, so Sandrita could get a hold of it as well. But also, probably more importantly than both of us, is I'm also actually going to do it with the kids, and I want them to understand what we're doing with their future, and I want them to be able to start that. I want them to be able to start that now rather than start that at my age.
Yeah, can I ask, why is that important to you? Because the one thing when we were talking about educating loved ones, for you to be able to talk about, you want to make sure that the kids are set up. Why is that important to you?
Because I think it would give them a lot more choices a lot sooner in life, and they would give them a lot more. I think you're generally at school, you're trained to be an employee generally, broadly, and you go and get a job and you pay taxes and you work and maybe at some point get a small pension. But I would rather they start figuring out how to be smart with their pennies. Yeah. I don't think, not that we've been, we've always bought property, which is probably one saving grace, but I would like them to, for us, it's been a sort of behind a curtain, I suppose, all of that world. We knew property, but we don't really know the world of investing, the world of, different ways to put money into areas which can maybe work better for us. So that's something, I want them to start getting their head around it now, not in if we can make it in a fun way. I'm trying, and I even started having a conversation with my eldest daughter a few days ago. I'm bearing in mind I'm sort of reading up on and learning it now, and it's interesting. They're interested to ask. Of course, they ask very black and white questions, but and a lot of it's based around thinking, at that age, how can I get rich, or less work, get rich, which obviously is not the point. But I think the quicker they can figure it out now and put, even if it's 10% of whatever they earn or whatever it is, however small amount, I want them to be able to create a habit.
Yeah, and for your upbringing, did you have those same values? Were you taught those values? Is this the reason why it's important to you?
Yeah, it was interesting. So we're sort of, Sandrita and I's family-wise are very, very different. But I think, my stepfather's side, that was, to him personally, was important, but it was never really demystified to me. As in, it was never really explained, even to this day. And not that I'm saying it should be or it shouldn't be, but it was never really taught to me, really. I mean, if someone could sit me down and take me through that, possibly there's other areas outside property which you can do well, if not better, possibly, not always, but you could do. It's always good to have that sort of mix of things in, a bit of a diversification. So we never got taught it, never. And I don't really want to just hand my money to someone and say.
And plus, I think it's important to teach the kid when they are kid, because they get more information than when you're adult. If you're starting to chatting when then right now they feel younger, I think that you have more chance to in the future they will understand better the financial and everything, you know. And like I say, is for us, we didn't have anybody who say, oh, you should do this, because it would be better for you in the future.
Yeah.
Sometimes the parent, they don't think about in the future for them, you know. So fingers crossed for the girls, that will be important just to learning a lesson. So it's from us more than go to school. You know what I mean? Sometimes.
Yeah. And speaking of like education for the kids, is university an option for the kids? Do you see them going to university, or what does that look like for them right now?
I mean, I can't speak for Sandritas. We've probably got different views on this, but my view is I went to university and it was fine. All our family, I had 6 kids and we all went to university and that was fine. I didn't necessarily choose what I do now. And it was a lot of fun for 3 years, you know, living away and all the rest of it. But yeah, for me, it's not the be all and end all for the kids. And that's not down to an expense factor, which obviously comes in at some point, but it's more, you know, I think if they find something they love to do and they want to be focused on it, great. I've definitely, Sandrita is probably quite keen.
For me, it's important they go to the university or if they finish the school, because they can choose.
Definitely finish school.
You know, they can choose in the future. Okay, they will have. Okay, yes, I finished my school. I did university, and they can choose whatever they want to do. But they will have the paper say, yes, I did. You know, yes, I go to school. Yes, I did finish. They can have the choice. They have the paper here, and they can choose the life, what do they want to do. But they have to choose. It's like you say, when you come in as an immigrant, you say immigrant?
Immigrant.
Yeah, you have 2 passports. Okay, I have my Argentina and I have the Australian. If the Australia say, I can choose what I want. I can go to live in Argentina or I can stay in Australia, but I have the choice. You know, so for me, it's very important they go to school and they finish university. It's important.
I mean, school definitely for me, but university, if they choose to, it's good.
Because I didn't have that choice, probably it's very strong in my mind, you know.
Yeah, and this is the important part of our role as a financial advisor. We make sure that we understand what's really important to you, and we know life changes as well. There's going to be the girls might decide, okay, I want to go to university, or I want to go and do something else. So that's where we make sure that we've actually got a plan in place that you're able to be able to do that, whether it be paying for them to be able to help them with education or whatever it might be. So,
excuse me.
Yeah.
Just let the dog out.
That's right. I think we'll leave that there, Alira.
Yeah, that was good.
Oh, I feel better after that, Alira.
Yeah, just a quick one. What we would generally do, because of the language barrier, at the start of each meeting that we do, when you pick your 5 cards, we'd actually talk about the rules around that. And the rules would be, okay, when we talk to someone, the other person's not allowed to butt in. And usually I'll make a game of it. I'll say, I've got my little ruler here, and if you say something, I'll smack
you.
Yeah. But this is where, for the situation that you're in, that's why we'd let that go, because it actually, I think it was a better conversation. I don't know if you feel that same way, James.
Yeah, no, it went really well. There was a lot of detail there. Some good goals are coming out of it. It was good, really good.
Brought up in, I mean, I was brought up, you know, sent to private education, and which is, you know, for good or bad, and just a different world. But you know, it's it's interesting. And Sandrita's family, I mean, I think maybe very few finished school, really.
Yes, I have only one niece, and then told the family she just finished school.
And that's hundreds of kids and hundreds of aunties and uncles.
And I'm always push them and always support them and always say to them what do they have to do. But it's very important to say, for me, it was different because I'm the persons who, my English is not perfect. But I'm always want to learning, you know. I'm always want to learning something different, and I don't feel embarrassing if I have to ask you. Oh, sorry, I don't understand. It's different from me here because we are in Zoom. But if you are in front of me, I don't feel like, oh, I need to ask a question I don't understand, I will ask, you know. Even sometimes inside it's like, ooh, what I did, or what, you know, but that for me is the key of you learning something. You know, you have to ask people to you understanding, to you learning different situation or different word in English or any language. And for me, it's very important to the girls, my family, I always say, come on, do this. And some of them, they follow me, some no, you know. But the people who did, they are happy now.
Yeah. And did you guys feel comfortable with the way that we were asking those questions and the way that we're actually having that conversation?
I mean, to be honest, Sandrina and I, even with friends or people, we're fairly open, as in, even if things maybe are not. I was brought up probably in a British house, which wasn't. And Latin is often you sort of, you know, on your sleeve, and we've been together 20 years. So we're probably quite open to speak about stuff, you know, whereas if I hadn't moved away from the UK or had sort of stayed in my lane, as it were, it would be more, it would be different. You know, my parents would be sitting here in different, sort of having a different conversation. You know? Yeah. Do you find some people can't choose, or that's never a problem?
Yeah, some people can't. Some people struggle with picking cards. I actually thought you guys were great because you expanded on your answers really well, which actually makes our life, James and our lives, really easy because we can pick on those little words that you're saying in the conversation, expand on them further. A lot of people are quite, you know, as you say, English people particularly, stiff upper lip and all that. You know, it's very much, they don't want to say very much at all. And you've got to drag information out of people. But I thought you guys were really open. It was fantastic. So.
Yeah. I imagine some people are a bit I can see that some people will be a bit closed on that.
Yeah, and especially like the educate loved ones. That's something, if you pick that card, I would have thought you would have been talking straight away about your kids in university and things like that, is that you just can't have any expectation when you're talking to clients, because it just led us down a completely different path than I probably thought we were going to go down, which was great.
And I don't necessarily know, if I'd looked at that before, I wouldn't necessarily have thought about that. But when you sort of think of your own situation, it's kind of, it's different, isn't it, when you get into it? It's interesting when you come from such different, and, you know, all couples, I think, have certain things which are a bit different, but we come from such different worlds. And, you know, you take back to the original point of spending without guilt and all these things. And there are certain things which we battle about, but we openly battle, that we kind of struggle with. That was really good. Thank you, James and James. Feel a bit better. You feel a bit lighter on your feet? You feel better? You're going to start crying.